So, bombing refugee camps. That's where we are now in this conflict. Folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and things are going from bad to worse. It is important for you to analyze what's going on, especially because most of the mainstream media in the West is not being as transparent as they should be. Before I go on, I want to thank Evil Queen 1024. Just want to say thanks for your books. I have all three and have learned so much from them. They give essential information, especially in the crazy world we now live in. Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated, because that's what I do. You know, I enjoy knowing that my work is appreciated by you guys. By the way, if you want to get my books, you have the links there below. I strongly recommend Surviving the Economic Collapse, Street Survival Skills, and Bugging Out and Relocating, which is somewhere there in the back, especially because of this kind of thing. When you see important players in a geopolitical conflict like the one we're seeing, where it's going to be soon a hot conflict, hot war in some parts of the world, you want to be ready. So what is it that happened today? Why is this important? Well, Israel decided that the best thing to do so as to calm things down would be to bomb the crap out of a refugee camp.
Let's get back to this horrific blast, however, at the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza, north of Gaza City.
That is rough,
a witness
man.
Described to CNN that it, quote, felt like the end of the world, and that 7 to 8 holes, craters in the ground were filled with dead people, body parts, quote, all over the place. CNN's Nada Bashir has more on the Israeli airstrike. We want to warn our viewers that the images in this...
Brutal. This is, I'll stop it right here. This is brutal. This is genocide. Not in my words, words of the UN top official regarding human rights that just resigned because he could not accept this anymore. Not even kidding. This is what we have here. Genocide. Top UN official Craig Mockingbird resigns, denouncing Israel assault on Gaza. I agree with him. And you know what? I'm not the only one. And actually, some people that can make things quite complicated agree with this as well. In the case of Erdogan, this is the president of Turkey. And this is what he has to say.
Dün Ukrayna Rusya savaşında katledilen siviller için timsah gözyaşları dökenler bugün binlerce masum çocuğun ölümünü sessizce seyrediyor. Yahu Ukrayna'da ölenler için
Yeah, it's tough. It's complicated, right?
Şimdi aynı hakikatlere Gazze'de şahit oluyoruz. Batı dünyası Gazze'deki çocuk, kadın, masum katliamını meşrulaştırmak için siyasetçisinden medyasına seferber oldu.
So, is the United States ready to go against a NATO ally? That's Turkey. Turkey is a NATO ally. The United States is sending plane carriers, ships to the region so as to ensure peace. The idea was Iran, right? Were they counting on Turkey getting involved in this too? This is so... Remember what I said in that previous video about Israel dragging the United States into World War III? And someone in the comments, rightfully so, said, no one is dragging the United States. The United States is leading on this. I mean, could well be. I don't know exactly what's going on. I know that these are things that do not benefit the great majority of people. Look at this.
At a mass rally in Istanbul Saturday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stepped up his support of Hamas, declaring again that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, but a liberation movement. The Turkish leader went on to warn that Turkey may come in the night to Gaza, with the crowd chanting to send the Turkish military.
These guys want to go fight Israel. This is not Palestine. I mean, guys, for those of you that live in some kind of mayonnaise, container, Palestine is not a country. It's a bunch of people that are now in a very complicated position because they are in Israel, in a little strip of land called Gaza, and in an apartheid state called West Bank, but it's basically Israel. You have, 4 or 5 million people living in a country in these conditions. But Turkey, this is the meme of fuck around and find out. Turkey is ranked 11 in globalfirepower.com. Israel is number 18. This is not Palestine. This is not a bunch of guys with guns. This is not a bunch of guys with with a paraglide as their air force, as CNN tried to tell us it was. No, this is a serious military force. Turkey is actually one of the most powerful military forces in all of the Middle East. Ranking 11 in the world. It's more powerful than Israel. Israel will not go to war on its own against Turkey. If Israel goes to war against Turkey, it will be with their pals, the good old buddies from the United States. So you're going to drag yourself, yes, into a war because of what? Because of the, political issues that this guy has in his own country and the opposition he was facing up until the very convenient situation that distracted attention from his political mess? Or is it because of the ambitions and the greed of the military-industrial complex trying to sell more weapons and try to start yet another war in the Middle East? Which one is it? Well, that's as far as I go. I can have some idea, some thoughts here, but whatever the reason is, this is happening right now. It's no longer, Palestine. Palestine, these guys, yeah, sure. This is where they are. They're digging themselves out of the rubble from the refugee camps being bombed. So no threat from these guys, but this is different. When you start looking at Iran, when you start looking at Turkey, when you start looking at Russia, when you start looking at all of the countries that will align in a certain way, you have to say, you know what? I get it that we want to sell guns. I get it that these guys may have a lot of dirt on a bunch of leaders from the West world because that's the thing they are excellent at gathering in special little islands with wonderful little people and very strange hobbies. Let's call it that way. But enough is enough. You have to put a stop to this. You cannot continue doing this because people will react. And
response to Erdogan's statements, Israel has recalled its diplomats from Turkey, setting back the country's newly restored diplomatic relations.
Look at the amount of people.
I think such statements basically symbolize that the rapprochement is over. I think that's quite clear, that this normalization process that started in 2022 is now over.
Last month in New York, Erdogan met for the first time with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In the aftermath of Hamas's attack on Israel, Erdogan initially toned down his rhetoric as he sought to play a mediating role. But with Ankara appearing to be diplomatically sidelined, Erdogan stepped up his public support for Hamas.
He decided that it doesn't make any difference for his regional role, so he could play the domestic game instead of a futile attempt to be a mediator in this conflict.
With opposition parties in Turkey.
Anyway, you see where this is going. How far can you push it? How much can you push the saber rattling? If there's one thing history has taught us is when things are complicated in your homeland in terms of your own political struggles, starting shit with other people usually distracts enough attention, at least for a while. It's not a final solution. I mean, we saw that in Argentina. You saw this in different countries. Whenever conflict is what you use as to, nothing going on here, look over there, well, so far. But when you do that with people that should not be messed with because they have nuclear weapons or because they are some pretty damn powerful nations in terms of their military might, well, maybe you want to calm down things before they go too far. At least that's my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Folks, see you next time. Take care.